So, welcome everybody. I did my Discord stop working? You're still there. It's just not showing on. There we go.
Your image is frozen for me.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, you're definitely more kinetic now.
Great. Okay. So, hey everybody. I'm Joe. With me on Discord, co-commentating is Eric.
Hey guys.
We are looking at the Texas Mini Worlds Top 8 Game 1 match. I say Game 1. It's Game 2 of Game 1 between Justin, allstarz97, the court player at the top of your screen, dark side, and MatthewHT, the light side legend player at the bottom of your screen. For those of you who are just watching this replay later, we had their game about third of the way through, and there was a big crucial battle at the audience chamber, and the game froze. And as far as we are aware, there's no way right now for Jump to recover games. Once they freeze, they're frozen, and they just go away the next server reboot. So they are replaying that game. Kind of unfortunate, disappointing for everyone that is the case. Justin did mention in Slack he thought maybe Matt had a slight advantage. Eric and I, at the very end of that last stream, talked about how it could be the way, we were right in the middle of a battle, depending on how the destinies went and that sort of stuff, and what Justin had to come back at Matt with the next turn, kind of who would be advantaged. But Justin obviously knew his hand and thought maybe Matt was a bit advantaged. So it was a close game. We'll probably be repeating some stuff in this stream just because I'm guessing most people won't watch the stream that got frozen, unless they're just really interested in Legend Court in general. So Justin, his first turn, plays Jabba, and Jabba pulls out Scum. Eric, what are your thoughts on this matchup in general?
I don't have many thoughts. It seemed I haven't played the matchup that often. It seems like both players are kind of happy stacking a couple locations. The AC and what we saw in the previous game was Justin was stacking the AC and MHT was stacking the pit, and then they were both went to space. I think Legend is favored because they can get General Leia for retrieval and Rose for retrieval, and then they'll be, when they're flipped, they're able to just do more damage. Justin had something special turn one.
Yeah, I wonder if Matt's
huge.
like, bummer, I should have played Rescue before, or if he's happy to have that grabbed because he has other stuff to loop.
Yeah, that's
I would guess
good
the latter
fortune.
because he waited until Justin activated and played the grab and everything. He didn't play it as a first action, so I would guess he's happy to have that grabbed. Justin uses Twi'lek Advisor to get Proxima, which is interesting because he could have grabbed a 2-0 with that, but he wants to have more out at the audience chamber to deter an early attack.
Yeah, Proxima is very. She costs 3 force, but because she's basically going to draw a card every turn, she almost activates a force every turn.
She fuels.
And she's
your
one
deck,
of the
drawing guys into hand.
Yeah, and she's just one of the greatest deterrents to someone attacking the audience chamber.
Right, adding a destiny there is. She has to be with 2 aliens, so she's not doing that yet. But if a Greedo's in hand, or once Justin plays another guy, she'll add a destiny.
And Court has Greedo in hand about 100% of the time.
So, since we are replaying this, both players got to kind of feel out each other, almost like a boxing match where you have your first few rounds and they're just kind of dancing around. They saw what each other's plan was for the match, and I wonder if that will change anything. Specifically, we saw Matt play the Jakku system, and Justin went pretty hard there to space, including an Ellison Hinthra to add an icon, and was draining for 3 there. And I'm curious if Matt... But then Matt was able to have 2 systems out, so he was running around. It gave him a second battleground so he could Rose Retrieve, and it let him drain free, so he could use his other stuff for things like attacking in the audience chamber. So curious if Matt will go, all right, I'm going to play Jakku again, and I'd rather have the free drains and the retrieval and all of that, or if I'm going to not play it so he can only drain 1 in space, but then I have to pay to drain. Matt's not going to take that system with how much space we saw Justin had. Justin will just pile a system. Matt gets another early first turn, I think. Projection of a Skywalker, and he didn't have to pay 3 to Walkling it, so that's got to feel nice.
I wonder if MHT... So both players are pretty cautious last game. Mm-hmm. I think one of the surprising things that we saw from Justin was playing Image of the Dark Lord, and a masterful move which he can use to pull it. So he's probably 1-1. If that would encourage Matthew to not go to the pit and try to go to the AC.
It looks like he got the saddle in hand, so that'll let him potentially pull a different site like the 1-0. What's interesting about that I didn't think of until you just mentioned the Masterful to pull that image is that means he's probably playing non-combo Gick to pull it with Masterful, which means he probably doesn't have to worry about a Fin React being canceled, except with the Lana combo potentially.
I could see Justin playing 1-1. He did that in his ROPS build last year. Effectively giving him 3 Gicks because it's probably one of the most important cards to get when you're
right.
Flip.
Scum usually plays 2 Gick combos, so if he switched it out, it would be 1-1. That's you're right.
It is a little curious that he decided to use the Masterful move non-combo, especially given that MHT played QMC last round.
Right, Celebration. But he played... Desai has so much space in here, he's got to figure he's going to take the system.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess...
home one is crap when you got Dengar and Punishing One there. Yeah, he I think Justin would easily take Bespin system from QMC. So Matt makes a comment in the chat about how, I figured if we played again, I might hit some of my pulls, because last game he got pretty unlucky activating the saddle and activating, I think, probably also the 1-0. Yeah, because he lost that from hand later and just having to pull that system. And so Matt loses relatively unprotected to the court damage.
You never like losing a Destiny 7 card, but it's not going to do you anything in this matchup.
Right. And he probably, unless he's playing 3PO, which Legend doesn't usually, he probably doesn't have many ways to cycle that back in. So, did he? I don't think he top decked it, right? It was from hand?
Yeah, it was from hand.
Yeah.
So Justin playing his second Twi'lek, which I wonder if he didn't have both, he would have gone for the passenger deck first instead of Proxima. But if you have both, this is as good as it can get as a start. And he got the docking bay. I feel like that second docking bay is always in the reserve deck whenever I play.
Justin took Theltapern Treveg with Proxima this turn, and he says, while no droid present to initiate battle, you must first use X-Force, where X equals the total number of icons. So he makes it +3 to battle there. That's kind of cute.
Yeah, I've thought about playing him in court and other decks. The thing is, Throne Remains plays Anakin, and I think Anakin gets past Feltapern.
Free, yeah, and see, I think there was a rules thread about that recently, and that's what I recall as well. I feel like the way it reads, it should be a separate cost. To initiate battle, player must use X-Force. It sounds like a separate cost to me, but I think I'm fairly sure the ruling was free. It adds to the cost, and
Yeah, I guess the other thing is,
but
so Anakin makes it free. Some versions of Legends don't start strike planning; they use battle plan combo, and then people are just using R2s. You know, they've got R2s coming
R2
out
and
of.
BB-8 we know are both in the deck and negate him.
Well, they sort of negate them. It's going to be a force to play R2 or 2 force for BB.
Fair, that's true. But that also means he's negated by your own Forlom IGP-59.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
All right.
Yeah, it's neat in court because it's going to be free because of your battle order, so you don't have to pay extra.
Right. So Matt uses strike planning. Grab Leia. It's probably his second time using him. I'm guessing on his turn. He had. Yeah. Yeah, he did one on Justin's first turn, and then he Brave Resistance, General Leia into Rey, and now he just did his second strike planning pull, so he knows what's in his deck, what's in his force pile. If he wants to use his force pile pull, we know in Matt's 12-card hand he has General Leia and EPP Rey. And he's putting Holdo down. Probably going to grab a solo.
Did you play much OA back in a couple years back?
It was good. A little bit. It was not my strong suit. It's not my play style. So I played some games with it, but I'm not as good with it as Bastion, Silverglen, Emil, and obviously I'm not as good as them in general, but just a different level of bad with that deck. Why do you ask?
I think a Brave Resistance ABR is a hard card to play with. That's interesting. He lost R2 from hand. He probably has a second, or he didn't read Feltapern's text very closely.
Well, that's weird. He took Poe into hand, and then he did a spin for the Falcon. So he posturing that he's going to go to space again.
Yeah, I wonder. I'd be a little intimidated to go to space with a Falcon because
That Bosk.
of Bosk, yeah. You don't, but I mean, most courts have really terrible Destiny, though Justin usually amps up the Destiny of any deck he plays a little bit.
Right, with that Masterful in the image and probably a bunch of Twi'leks.
We saw like Sedano or Thano, the pirate that's Destiny 4.
Is he 4, not a 3?
He's a 4.
Oh.
Forfeit, deploy 3, forfeit 5. Yeah, I think ABR is a very interesting card because you got to keep track of all the cards that you put down. It's like, I find it to be like a pretty common play to, like, if you have a solo in hand, putting a solo to find your other solo in your deck just to get that one out of there, improve your Destiny. And then keeping track of what's in your force pile, knowing what you'll hit on the next time. It's not as it's a little bit easier to play now because of the restriction where you can only get a guy with lesser ability.
Right.
Because you're a lot more limited in who you can pull. So you don't have you can't make as many interesting plays with it. And it's interesting that Matthew lost the are they frozen again? No.
No. Decides clock is ticking.
But he's using 4 force.
For a ship from reserve, so...
He's saying, did it freeze again?
Oh, maybe it just did. His clock went from 03 to 56 for me, but now it's stuck at 56.
Mine it's stuck at 47 for me.
Oh, my page just went out and it wants to refresh. There's only 5 players in here. It's not observers. That's yeah, and Jim's just lagging. Even just refreshing is slow. Is it still stuck?
No, it's
Oh no, okay. Cool. Guess not.
It's moving slowly.
Jemp is just chugging. Yeah, Desai says, guess not, but very slow. Alright, so he spent 4 on Dengar and punishing 1. Yeah, Matt said, yeah, refresh, and then Dengar showed up. Mine's losing it. I bet they're having the same refresh issues. Like I said, there's 4 observers. So, I mean, 4, which basically is probably me, you, and the 2 players.
Yeah, we have 0. Yeah, we got 0.
Yeah, so it can't be the fact that there's 2 observers in there besides the 2 players. It's just Jemp is just going so slow. And Apollo did a reboot earlier on the server, but there's probably a fair number of games going on right now. I know earlier Robbie said there was 12 going on. I wonder if the Greg Shaw game is also struggling. But yeah, this has just got to be frustrating. All right, so Desai played Space Cruiser, but there was no alien leader in his reserve. And then he plays Mitt and Wolf from hand. And a Stinger for 1. And I'm guessing he's not going to bother with the Guri yet because he wants to see where she will be needed. But he does use a Uta Guta to upload a Greedo. Really curious on the economics of Jump, and specifically, we're paying for a certain amount of server power, for lack of a better term. I'm sure there is a better term, but lack of my knowledge of it. A certain amount of cores, processing power, and with where it's hosted on Amazon's cloud, AWS, you can scale up how much you're using. You can pay more for more, and I'm curious how much more it would cost to bump up Jimp's processing power to be able to handle this, because obviously something's got to be done by Worlds, and I'm curious how much it would cost to just do that all the time, to be like, all right, we need to bump it up so that it's not lagging. Are we talking hundreds of dollars a month? So it's kind of only feasible to do it on a one weekend that there's a big tournament, or because there's been a lot of lag in the last few weeks, even just in the evenings, people playing normal games, and it's just slow and crawling. And I know a number of us jokers said he's asked I saw him ask in Slack the other day, and I'm curious what it would cost, because to just bump it up all the time, because there's been a lot of lag, and it is frustrating when you're playing.
Yeah, I wonder if I know JNAP posted the GEMP usage rates and how they skyrocketed.
Right.
to
Number of games over time.
yeah. What was the? It's now Drago on the treadmill in Rocky Four.
Yeah.
uh, I wonder if it still continues to operate at such a high level. It's definitely got to be higher than it was pre-pandemic, but if it's sustained those levels.
JNAP said August was about 5,500 games. So divide by 31, 177 games a day. Really?
That's a lot of games.
Divide by 24 hours, 7 every hour for. I mean, I guess some hours have 12, some have none, but yeah, that's a lot of games. Gee. Yeah, but it's struggling a lot nowadays, so I'm curious how much it would cost to just bump it up permanently. And then maybe even more on tournament weekends. You know, if the normal load, we bump it up so that it can handle 20 simultaneous games, and then bump it up so it can handle 40 simultaneous games on Worlds Weekend or whatever.
So what do you? I was going to ask, what do you think you do if you're MHT here?
I think you go to the audience chamber. No, I don't know. That's right. So it's one thing Joker pointed out in the chat is without Jakku on table, none of these ships have hyperspeed 6 to be able to go over and land late game. So, but once Jakku is an extra parsec above Null Hutta, the Stinger, with its just silly permanent pilot, could just go over and land there and start kicking up a train of 2 late game. So not playing Jakku has that advantage as well. And so Matt now goes down down with Leia, Chewie, and Solo. And
I could see him not
battling.
Yeah. I mean, save yourself 3 force.
You know he has Greedo in hand. Yeah, it's going to cost 4 to battle here, and then 1 to pay for Greedo on this turn, and then you want to save 1 for Greedo next turn. Yeah, I could see you just taking the 6 force, and I was going to say drop Rey, but that's kind of bad because then you're only left with 1. You can't pay to swing both weapons. No, it looks like he's going to battle because he plays weapons display in case of a stunning leader. Yeah, I don't know.
If you didn't battle here, I mean, Justin's gonna.
Well, you know, the best. I've got to assume he has Anakin in the deck. Did he use his tunnel vision? Because if not, and he activated Anakin, you take Anakin, you drop him with all these guys, and then battle free. Like that would be a much stronger play. Both your destinies would be +1 with Anakin. You'd have extra fodder that you could lose, but maybe he didn't think of that, or maybe he thought this is a separate cost and Anakin doesn't get over it, or maybe it was in reserve deck. So he has the Odin combo for Greedo, which is nice because now he can swing free this turn and still save to swing next turn. He'll probably be losing Leia so that he can keep... Ooh, I don't like the flip here. I would have saved that flip because there's no weapons and you don't need the drain +1 right now, and the redraw, I mean, I guess you can redraw if he draws high, but the reason why I don't like the flip is if you lose Leia, IG coming down, capturing like Chewie or Solo, you're just in such a bad position. Hey guys.
Yeah, that's.
I'm gonna mute myself real quick because the kiddos just came in. They're supposed to be in bed. So Eric, you can take over.
I imagine MHT has to have the Sari combo here to justify this play. If he does, then Proxima will be immediately lost. Justin will only have 1 destiny draw, and then he'll be able to use the redraw on it and force projection so that he doesn't lose a single character. I guess he could also have leadership and kind of get the same result. Is probably his plan, because you wouldn't want to initiate this battle thinking you're going to lose one of these characters and then face a crackback where Court has 15 force and 12 cards in hand. Doubles Proxima's power. I'm not sure why you would bother doing that.
So he didn't have the Sari. And now he's using the peak. So yeah, I would not have flipped, as I was saying when the kids came in. I wouldn't have flipped because I'd be too worried about IG, Dengar, and Dr. E, something like that coming down and just wrecking me next turn. And the only benefit you get to flipping right now, yeah, you get that peak and you get a redraw, but you're not draining for the +1. I would have saved it at least a turn.
Well, you get forced projection in order to save your guy, but he's not. He hasn't played leadership yet.
Yeah, well, and there's 2 destinies, so you're probably not. You're still losing somebody, even if you force projection. So you probably just don't force projection. Yeah. Joker thinks power +2 for Proxima, just in case there's some potential overflow. Yeah, so if he caps him right here, which he is, and then Justin grabs, and then he force projections, Justin's power might be 9 versus 20 something. He might have overflow. So well, he's a bounty hunter, isn't he? Yeah. So he's 4.5.
Yeah, he's showing 12 forfeit.
12 forfeit. So he covers 21 right now. So he might have had a little, but that's with the +2. Without it, he would only covered 19 versus 14 and 2 destinies. So use 1 to cut down on 2 overflow. Well,
those are good destinies.
Yeah.
And then we also know that MHT saw Justin's reserve deck prior on the previous turn because he missed with the Space Cruiser pull.
Correct. It might have been low.
Draws a 4.
He probably used a redraw on that. Maybe not. You really want 2 low ones. Yeah, he did. You really want 2 low ones so you can force projection and get rid of all the attrition. There you go. There's 1 low one.
Yeah, I think you play it here.
Oh,
so right now he's showing.
Oh, he's only getting 1 because of leadership. Right. So you do the 2. Okay.
It doesn't bring him. So he didn't bring him negative, or just makes it Destiny 0.
Right. Because it subtracts from Battle Destiny. It's not like
16. So he's looking at 4 overflow.
Yeah. It covers 12, and there was 16 power difference.
Oh, do you think you probably cancel Scum here
with the 4? You did see him just lose Scum, but he'll be able to. He drew Scum for Destiny. He can easily Jabba's Haven back Jabba, and then download that other Scum. And he has Greedo in hand, so I would be saving for Greedo and not canceling.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
Because even if you simple tricks, he can just do a single guy, Jabba's Haven, Jabba, play Jabba, download that Scum. If he hadn't drawn that Scum for Destiny, maybe. But I think I would not cancel. I'd save for Greedo.
Well, so Justin only has 13 force, and if you make him spend 2 force to satisfy play an alien without the -1 from Scum,
sure,
and then 1 for the retrieval, and then one of those characters being Jabba is 4, you actually
and
don't
then
really
Jabba's 4, right? So then we're talking 7. Jabba downloads Scum. You're left with 13 minus 7 is 6. You could play. You could play a fair number of aliens at -1 for 6.
Yeah, but it's still. You'd then put this Scum, and then.
And then you can't swing. Like he'd play Greedo for 2, Jabba for 4, +1 to retrieve 5. That's 7. He'd have download Scum. He'd have 6 force left to drop more guys, and Matt couldn't swing. Yeah, I mean it depends on what's in Justin's hand. But I would be saving. I wouldn't be canceling it here. I don't think. Oh, Fett went off reserve deck, and Jabba's Haven cannot grab that because he is a maintenance alien. So we saw the 4 overflow was Probot from hand, and then Masterful Move, None Shall Pass, and Fett from reserve. So some high destinies there lost. And Matt's got to be pretty happy with how this game is shaping up.
Yeah, I can't believe he did the redraw knowing that the Masterful Move and the None Shall Pass was there.
Right. Because if he gets a 5 or 6, yeah.
Yeah, that was a fortunate destinies for Matt.
It was
Matthew. Yeah, I'm wondering if he's thinking about canceling Scum here. I think it's pretty tempting, right? Because
no. King of Jokers is saying Greedo would be 1 because you do Jabba then Scum. But if he pulls simple tricks, then he can't get Jabba. And so then you'd make him play an alien first to get a second battleground, and that wouldn't be -1. And then you'd play Jabba, also not at -1, and then download Scum. But if there's no simple tricks, then yeah,
you'd have to play one to retrieve with simple tricks. So it's +3 force.
Yeah, you'd pay one with aim high. Right. So I think simple tricks is worth it here. Well, if you were canceling Scum.
Yeah, because it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7, like I said, and then you'd have 6 left.
And yeah, I mean, you probably wouldn't even pay to retrieve the Scum if you wanted to retrieve that.
No, yeah.
Second Scum, and then it's just like if you don't.
Did the game free? Is someone's clock ticking?
Yes, Justin's click is.
Okay, I was like, are we stuck on Matt thinking about canceling Scum? Or are we? What? I wonder what Justin is thinking about.
Matt just draws. Should be saving those 2.
Yep. All right. Let's see what Justin has to come back with him. He didn't cancel that Scum, so there's no need to grab Jabba back, right, with Jabba's Haven. So here comes Greedo. It is going to be an audience chamber fight.
Does he have the perimeter scan?
Ooh. Does not look like it. Nope.
Well, he's saving, and he doesn't even have enough force for leadership.
Leadership and Greedo. 3. Yeah, he should have saved 3 if he has another. Maybe
no, but it would be 2 for leadership plus 1 be as a first strike, so he can't even play leadership.
Oh, good point.
So he can only swing.
And Django adds 1 with Chewie because he's a EVP. So we're looking at 4 destinies right now.
Yeah.
But maybe he drew into the Sari, and he can swing and hit Fett and Sari him if Desai doesn't have an imbalance canceller. Justin plays Fanfare to mix up his reserve, which he down at the bottom, right? He had that Scum. Oh no, he top decked the 5 and 6. So I'm not entirely sure why he's shuffling the Guri and Scum to the top. Maybe he just wanted to look at his destinies, but he's probably battling no matter what here.
Yeah, that seems like awkward sequencing.
Yeah.
And if you were concerned about your destinies, then you
use
I think you would do it first
during the control phase.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I mean, the other card he could be thinking about is hidden weapons.
Oh, so we wanted to shuffle that Scum in because it's a 4.
Well, the 4 would have been at the bottom, but it's just kind of knowing what are the odds of me hitting. Like I'm already deploying these guys. I'm definitely battling. Now, what are the odds of me actually hitting with my hidden weapons as well?
Oh. Now you capture Chewie here. You take away a swing and a battle destiny from Light, which is huge. That IG, but he can battle free. No force to retrieve.
5 battle destinies is a lot of battle destinies.
Yeah, IG added a destiny, and if he captures Chewie, you can't burn the redraw on that because only a 1 is a miss. Even a 2 Guri is a hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now Light's going to be 8 power and 1 destiny versus 18 and 5 destiny. This is not good for Matt. Justin had a lot to come back with.
Yeah, if he had canceled Scum, he wouldn't have been able to
I think
afford.
I think Matt's
And
thinking, how bad is it if Chewie's, if I'm 8 power and 1 destiny to his 18 and 5, um, do I have to desperation? He just saw his deck from the fanfare verify. Do I have to desperation hope to hit one of the ones in his deck to keep Chewie there? If he doesn't have Hujix or the Puller right here, they cover another 15 and forfeit. So 8 and 15 is 23 in a destiny versus 18 and 5 destinies. He's looking at significant overflow. He might be like, I may have to just desperation redraw. Yeah, and he does, and
well, that was actually
it worked. I mean, he got the
Be-
5 off.
yeah, best case scenario, he
Probably
draws
would
a
have
1.
redrawn that 5 anyway.
Next best case scenario is he draws a really high destiny.
Yeah. So let's see. He'll probably sees him. You don't want to send him used and just have them Brave Resistance it back. So just thinking about who to seize him with.
No, you put him to use pile.
Oh, did he?
Yep.
Huh, that's weird. Because then Matt can get him back with Brave Resistance. I'm not sure I like that.
So
I feel like if you
Matt,
seize him, you can take IG and you just move over here, and then you get to retrieve 2 also. At some point, like, you don't... Maybe he's worried about Ray hitting and sorry about the mess and Chewie being freed into battle.
so Matt's got 23 forfeit. Or
Yeah,
6
yeah,
or
15
15 to
forfeit,
get
he covers
into
23 plus his destiny versus 18 and 5 destinies. So all of those would have hit. So I'm guessing there's like 1-1 in there, and Matt was just super desperation redrawing it. Well, maybe. I don't know. 13. So 31. He covers 23. So he's down by
it's 8
8
minus whatever this is.
Yeah,
so he's going
so
to
he's gotta
have
peel
facing 3 overflow.
That's fortunate. I mean, Decide just took 4 last turn, so it's pretty even in terms of battling back and forth, but obviously Decide just has way better board position now.
I'm wondering if he's thinking about playing solo here
To add
so
one.
that he only loses 2. It depends on if he has another solo or not.
Yeah.
And if he's got another card with...
Right, if he's going to lose his only solo, yeah, he does. Makes it a 6. Doesn't really matter.
I mean, Desai's just going to lose Fett.
Yeah, because he can't afford
Forfeit
the
8.
upkeep. Justin Miyashiro says, so 5 destinies by Desai there is the current leader for the Hollow Theater deck building challenge. The challenge this week is see how many battle destinies you can draw.
I feel like I just heard about a game where there was a lot more, or were those destinies never drawn?
The like where someone played all the buddy effects and played a bunch of interrupts and something.
Yeah.
I think it was that game was before the deck building challenge happened. I think like that game happened, and then I think it was just last night they made the. So let's see. Matt lost Grimtosh from hand and Rescue in the Clouds in hand from hand.
Those are great cards to lose.
Sure.
Interesting that he lost Leia then solo.
Right, indicating he might walk Link for solo.
Yeah, I mean if he has Brave with lightsaber.
Yeah. Right, Coward's
I mean,
out, so he'd have to be at 2 battlegrounds. It's unlikely that he's going to get to 2 battlegrounds and retrieve.
It does seem unlikely.
Joker says he thinks 7 is the most destinies he's gotten with Court. So that same setup plus Forlom with Jabba and then Proxima, that would be 7.
I gotta say, if Matt had canceled Scum there, Justin could not have played any of those 3 guys, or he couldn't have had Boba Fett and Jango, or Boba Fett and IG-88.
Right. Greedo and Fett costing 1 more means he just doesn't do Jango. He'd be 4 less power, 1 less destiny. Matt doesn't take any overflow. He still loses everything. It saves him 2 cards. Like, Right.
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't have been able if he'd done Jabba. Like if we were discussing, he had 6 force
Oh
after
yeah,
getting
if
Jabba and
he if
Greedo.
he I don't think he does Jabba there. I think he doesn't bother with the scum. He comes down with Fat Greedo IG.
Right, and then he still has a force for to swing. Because Greedo wouldn't come down at that point, right?
No, he would do Fat Greedo IG. He just wouldn't do Django, which is
Oh, I
4.
see.
He would have played +1 for Fat because no scum and +1 for Greedo. And that would have left him with 2 force for upkeep. He could have then forfeited Greedo, and then he'd have Fat and IG there, who together draw 3 destiny, even though they don't have 4 ability. All right, so Matt doesn't want to attack into that. He plays.
Yeah, go ahead.
He plays Ray and Chewie out to the pit. What do you think about that?
Well, Justin can only force train for 0 at the audience chamber, and he can force train for 1 in Al Hutta. And Matt can force train for 2 at the pit right now.
And he figures both Fets are dead unless Justin retrieves it with Scum by battling into those guys next turn. Both Fets are dead because we saw him top deck 1 in Overflow and another one go into battle, and you can't get them back with Haven. And so with IG there, he figures maybe most of his power is all right there. That's why I think capturing Chewie would have been good. But you are risking Ray coming down, hitting, sorry about the mess, and then Chewie hitting and losing the audience chamber. So it was a safer play if Matt had a sorry about the mess. Of course, Finn uploads it too, so he'd have to not activate it though. All right, so Justin drains 1. Matt's going to be draining 2, so Justin could possibly attack into him with his 7-card hand, drop like 3 dudes, attack basically just to retrieve and kill a guy, especially if he has a Dengar as one of those characters or a P59 where he can hit Chewie. I guess P59 wouldn't be as good, but with that Odin combo canceling Greedo last turn, Chewie's forfeit would be 0 most likely. Meaning, if you can come down with Dengar and a couple guys, hit Chewie, clear Ray with attrition, plus retrieve from Scum, I would consider that a good turn for Darkseid.
Yeah, JagTech. I'm not sure if he plays a second Leia or a second Solo. I see decks all over the place. I see 1 and 1 a lot. I see 2 Leias and 1 Solo a lot. But it's hard to say.
Drew says this is where the dungeon separating the pit is less than ideal because now Dark can't move out with that fleet of guys and stop that. There you go. Mara will do it. She can hit Chewie and kill Ray to attrition, and then he can retrieve 2 with Scum and
and that
guy says he has to be targeted by lightsabers. Your other characters may not be targeted by lightsabers, so Ray will have to hit him, and Chewie can swing at someone else.
Or Chewie could hit him, and then Ray could hit someone else.
He's not a once. Oh, he is a once hit, right? Yeah, unless hit or yeah. Sure, but why wouldn't you take the guaranteed swing? They both draw 2 destiny. She gets to retrieve, so why not let her retrieve on the easy one?
Well, Coward is out.
Okay, sure. So then it doesn't matter who swings at him. And now Aura Singh comes down if Desai also has... Okay, that's all he's got, but now he's going to retrieve 2 with Scum. Which he gets back 2 Boba Fett's.
Boba Fett.
JagTech says, I'm not sure playing Valken does anything here. Yeah, I mean, if 2 guys... If Matt hits Valken and Aura, and then Mara dies to attrition, you killed all 3, or if they both get hit and you kill all 3, he might prevent some overflow, basically. Is by having him hit instead of Mara, you guarantee you're not taking overflow. Which he might. I mean, if he didn't have him, he'd have 2 less power, so he'd be 8. And if he draws like a 4, that's 12. And if Matt drew a 5, he'd be 16 to 12. He'd be peeling 4 overflow. So instead he won't take overflow. Yeah, Yoshi says Justin had a stacked hand. If you go back 1 turn before the audience chamber battle and think about what characters he had in hand, he had Fett, Greedo, Django, IG, Mara, Velkin, Aura. Like, he just had a ton of guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Ray is hit, and now he'll swing at Aura. So that'll just clear the pit, which I think Dark here is happy to trade these 3 characters for these 2.
Yeah, it's going to force Matt to redeploy, which may result in another.
Which means
shield isn't out yet.
Which means he's not going to eat a drain of 2, and trading these 3 for these 2. Also, Justin got back 2 Boba Fett's, so you're really trading 3 for 2, but getting 2 cards back and clearing out board position stuff. So I think Justin's happy with this turn. Like I said, I mean, my example was Dengar and somebody come down and hit Chewie and clear them both. I'd be happy with that. Same difference. It was Mara coming down, but you are correct. This pirate is Destiny 4.
Yeah, Cord's got to be happy to be drawing 4s and 5s.
Yeah, Justin does like to make his decks high Destiny. And when you have all these characters in your hand, you end up with pretty good Destiny left in your deck. So Matt does a redraw on the 4. Open for lower, and he gets a lower. He gets a 1. He's not going to get any overflow because Mara still has her 7 forfeit, but he's not going to take any overflow if he draws low himself. It would have been 14 to 11. If he draws a 1, he would have had to peel 2. Now he's not going to peel any.
Wonder if he's deciding not to draw Destiny.
To leave Mara and try and beat her down. Justin's got to have a Gick by now. Oh, and he did draw the 1, so he would have had to peel 2 if he didn't redraw that. Does he have a Jedi Lev in hand? Probably. Yeah, so he plays Jedi Lev. Gonna get a Ray back. Sorry. So should be able to fish out that story with Finn. If he can drop Ray and Finn on the audience chamber, we know he has Ray in hand. If he has Finn, he can use Finn to upload blaster proficiency, drop Ray and Finn on the audience chamber, hit. Jeez, I don't know. That's tough.
Well, so he's going to activate 12, and then he's going to have 5 force. And we know the bottom card of his deck is a 2 because he used Poe to put Poe back to get Chewie last turn, and then he's going to have a 2 on top.
Yeah,
he's going to use the
he's only activating 12 out of his 24. He's not.
Yeah,
we're close to getting down to Poe.
No, well, he's going to have 12, and then he'll use the peak and probably activate 1, and so he'll be 4, and then he'll have 2 2s on top.
Oh, because he'd already... Oh, from the Destinies, that battle? Gotcha.
So on this turn, it's like 5 cards and then 2 2s.
Yeah.
Which is not great.
But you're gonna be shuffling anyway if you did have Finn to pull the blaster proficiency. Yeah, I mean, if I had Finn, that's what I would be doing right now. I don't know. Maybe you're like, hey, he's running out of characters, but the problem is Justin's lost pile is only 9 right now, and he can Jabba's Haven back Mara and drop Mara and drop more guys and just suicide, retrieve 2 with Scum. So this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the last game, where Scum just wants to keep their lost pile low. They need a life force that is high enough that they can deploy guys, battle, pay to retrieve, and then draw cards to draw into more guys. So then the next turn, they can do the same thing, deploy guys, battle, retrieve, and draw. They need to keep their life force high enough while still being able to draw battle destinies and that sort of stuff. And right now, Justin's, easily at that level. He's got 21 in life force. So I almost think you got to make a play for the audience chamber here. Maybe not, because it still is just the drain -1. And Justin's only doing 1 damage from drains. But the problem is, unless you stack that site so hard, Dark can just keep suiciding like it's doing, and at some point they can go in with Justin can go in with his Gix. Like, he can, if you get Rose and BB-8 there, he's just like, all right, I throw Dengar, battle, shoot both of them, Gick, like retrieve 2, Gick. I think Justin's in a good position to win this by a lot, like 15 to 20, maybe less, maybe 10 to 15, but just getting to continually suicide and retrieve with Scum is big.
I bet he has a Finn in hand for reacting.
Yeah, that's why you put the Rose. He can't retrieve with Coward out, but Rose will let Finn go used.
Actually, would he have used it last turn? Probably not. So I bet he has it now, and opted not to use it last turn.
JagTech says suiciding Mara to hit Rose and reduces the drain, just because then you won't have 2 resistance dudes. You can hit Rose, take another EPP out with attrition, retrieve 2. Like, I mean,
I don't know if you can rely on that though. So
you could do that with P59. Like drop P59, shoot Rose, cause 2 damage, draw a Destiny that's going to clear an EPP, and then Gick the battle, and you retrieve Mara in the meantime.
Well, what happens if he has the female interrupt to cancel the shot?
Oh.
Between that and the redraw,
right.
Rose could actually be pretty protected, and you just forfeit Obi-Wan. And play like Resilience.
Against a P59, yeah. A Dengar I still feel like would hit, just because they'd have to draw 1 not to on the redraw. So Justin opts to I am curious. So he used Jabba's Haven right before he deployed the Mara Velkin. So he can't Jabba's Haven Mara because he did that with Lady Proxima. I was like, how did he get that back? He didn't retrieve that. So he did use his Jabba's Haven. He did it on Proxima, so she can keep fueling some characters in for him to battle. So now Justin, this is a drain -1, so Justin's doing 1 and 1, and Matt's doing 1. I think Matt can still just keep stacking this.
Well, Matt can drain for 2.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
With the Rose because of Coward.
Right. So it's 1 and 1 versus 2. And Matt's ahead on life force. Right now, Justin's at 29 hand in life versus 32. So he's up by 3 plus this drain of 2. He'll be up by 5 hand in life. There's no other locations Justin can drain at. There's no way for him to get over to Octo. He has to pay 3, but right now he's slightly ahead in the damage race, and they're doing the same amount of damage, and all he has to worry about is Scum retrieving stuff. So I think I would pile that site harder, but clearly he's not sure because he hasn't paid to drain. He's thinking about, am I going to go take that out? The reason why I don't like taking that out is Justin drew to 10, and then stopped. He saved 5. I think he's still got more dudes in hand. And he's like, yeah, if you go here and kill them, you spread yourself thin, and then I'll go ahead and battle into whichever's weaker. If you lose all the guys over at the antechamber, then I'll go battle here. Like, I think Justin's happy to trade battles back and forth because of Scum, right? So I think I'd be stacking harder and going for like a very eked out small win.
Yeah, I think he wants to find BB, which would be
Right, BB-8 would then increase the damage even further in his.
Colin, he drew BB-8 for Destinies, right?
Oh, so he can get it into hand with the peak.
No. When he first swung with Chewie,
oh, so it's still down
with Chewie and Rey.
Yeah.
So I think it was the first Destiny of those 4.
So it's not down that far.
I think it might be. No, I think it could be like the 10th or 9th card. So like he needs to draw 3 and then he'll get it.
Yeah, but he did pay 3 to drain. Twilight and Decree. Just high destiny cards that are not characters that Justin wants to just retrieve back with Scum next turn. Joker's asked, have we seen a U3PO? No, we have not seen a U3PO in either game. But we did see an image. So if image comes down, damage races back in Justin's favor. And then if BB-8 comes down, he negates that. Image has not been lost yet. We saw Masterful go off the top, but not image. But yeah, Justin just drawing to 10 and stopping with 5 saved is curious to me, unless he just has like just a ton of guys and he's like, I'm good. Trying to keep his life force up, his diff up.
Yeah, I wasn't tracking Justin's deck. I wonder if he kind of drew his Boba Fett's and just like, I need this many life force in order to make use of Boba Fett.
It's possible.
Because he doesn't need to save force, right? He can already activate his entire reserve deck. He just needs cards and life force to draw destinies and get around the redraw.
Yep. So Matt uses a peek and puts the cards on the force pile. So this game was starting at 6 my time, and I did not have dinner because my family was just sitting down to dinner at 6, and I was like, oh, I gotta stream this, I'll have it after the game. And I did not count on a freeze glitch causing the game to extend an extra hour, and now I'm very hungry. What do you think about this?
Well, this is Justin does have a shield pull.
For what? What do you?
He can play firepower and retrieve 1.
Oh, yeah. I mean, sure. I don't really care about that. I just don't like giving him the Jakku system to drain 3 at. Like, yes, it's a second battleground, so now you can start your Rose retrieve, but Rose is 1, and him upping from Null Hutta to Jakku is 2. It's plus 2 damage, and you're retrieving 1 of it with Rose. That nets you negative. And it means he can go Stinger from Jakku over to Octo and land at the saddle to add 2 more damage. And I don't think you're taking that. We haven't seen any ships lost, have we? So he knows he still has Bosk in there, which is great against the Falcon, and has... We saw another ship too, right? The Ellis and Henthra. I mean...
Yeah. Well, where are those ships? Are they in his hand, or are they in those 3 cards somewhere?
They could be, but at some point he's going to find them. And if not, he still can drop Guri on Stinger and move them all over. And
wow, Justin didn't play firepower there. That was a mistake. And we know he has the extra shield pull because he played the site.
Right. Yeah, I don't like deploying the system. I think you were ahead or quite close in the damage race, and I think this will accelerate and pivot it more to Justin's favor. JNAP says, oh no. He doesn't like deploying the system either. I mean, and that, like, this force is pretty weak too. Like, even just an Ellison Hinthra popping on a Ponda Baba and Wolf and... Alright, so he goes for Guri.
Wow.
For free on the Stinger. Yeah, so he's just going to get to move them all in front. Dengar's stopping any immunity. Guri's adding an extra Battle Destiny and capping light to 1. I don't know why Matt did that. Just take your one site. Let him have the other ones. He's doing 1 and 1. You're doing 2. Make him find the image
say, though,
while you find BB-8. All right, he did have the image.
He had the image, and he found the Guri.
Yeah, he had to have that Guri tracked, right? He activated all but 2 and then played Darrow like he knew it was there.
No. He had 3, and then he used Proxima. Proxima took into Darrow.
Proxima saw Guri.
And then the other 2 left, one of which was Guri.
But he drew those at... Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't been tracking Justin's... It's...
Well, that was either very good play or very fortunate.
Well, it's definitely both. I don't. Definitely seems like a good play.
Forlom going up there.
Yeah, I think that's extra forfeit fodder.
Yeah, he's forfeit 5. We haven't seen Azuckus and Mist Hunter. Jabba's dead, so he's not going to be adding to Destiny. He's just 5 extra forfeit. But it also indicates he's punting the ground. You'd want Forlom to be blanket immunity if you're going to be attacking seriously, not just suiciding. So Justin, with that image, he's happy to say, all right, you're only draining 1. I'm just going to give you that site. You're retrieving 1. Justin is now doing 1 and 3 or 1 and 1 to 1 and retrieve 1. And then Justin can suicide and stuff, or he can still play that Ellison Hinthra and Bosk and attack this stuff. I think he's drawn for space right now. Interestingly, though, Justin's now down to 11 life force, which it's going to be hard to... Now 12. It's going to be hard to deploy and do a whole lot when your life force gets that low, and that's what I was talking about with Scum, if you want to keep it high. Matt's making Justin deploy cards, like Darrow and Guri and Forlom.
I wonder if he has a...
Broken concentration?
No, if he has Admiral Holdo and Profundity.
I think it would have... Yeah, or even Holdo and Tantive. But you're not even clearing that much.
Well,
Holdo can add Holdo can add 9 or 10, right? But Guri's capping you. Maybe if you have the spin. So if you spin, draw a Natural Destiny, Attrition Destiny with Wedge, and Holdo. But all these bounty hunters are stupid high forfeit. Wolf's not a bounty hunter. Thrawn's a 6. Wolf's a 4. Darrow's a 4. IG's a 5. Dengar's... Yeah, so you can cover... Yeah. If you have a spin, and Holdo, and Capital, and maybe a leadership... Oh, no, you can't. Adding doesn't do anything. You could cap them, but... I don't know.
Is there a second smuggler? Is Wolf and Ponda Bubba there?
No.
So he's not getting an extra Destiny Nutrition. It's just Dengar.
Yeah, he's got the -1.
And Guri getting a second.
Dengar will add 2. Right, currently 2.
I mean, that would be quite a hand Matt has together. It would explain going to space a little bit more.
If he had all space, sure.
If he has like Holdo and Profundity and like an ability to do something here.
Yeah. So he drains for 1. Justin loses Twi'lek from hand, which again he's hoping to retrieve the High Destiny with Scum. But the other thing is Twi'lek could be used to, look for a pit and cycle that back in on his turn. Maybe he already has one in his hand. Yeah, I can't see. Even with Holdo, there'd still be crap left, and then he'd come down with Hinthra, and he'd...
I'd be pretty tempted to beat up Proxima and
That's what I figured he'd do last turn, but I think, like I was saying, I think Justin would be happy to trade ground battles because of Scum. So I don't know what Matt's
I mean,
plan is.
you could play like Qui-Gon with Saber or
Right, you forfeit them and then but Justin probably doesn't draw Destiny if that's the case, right?
maybe.
And then
Uh,
he can attack back and maybe he does.
and right now, Justin's only getting one Destiny boots. Proxima needs to be with 2 aliens.
Yeah.
If he has blaster proficiency combo, swing, I guess both draw on their own.
Yeah. Yeah, one's ability 4, the other's if not able to otherwise, if alone.
I always think that Proxima's a 3 for some reason. But
I have done that same thing.
she is force sensitive.
Yeah. Joker says Proxima and Zam feels like bait. It totally did when he played it. I mean, I had the same thought because Justin's like, yeah, come down. It establishes a drain of 1, but then he's like, come down, and I'm happy to just battle back and forth with Scum. Justin didn't see a system coming out, so he's like, well, let's get some other stuff going. So, I mean, we're going to see a battle from Qui-Gon. You don't deploy him and not battle and let Scum battle into you. So, yeah, he does battle. They are both the same defense value. They are both the same forfeit. You go for Proxima because she grabs aliens.
Mm-hmm. Did Justin activate one force
With
wipe this turn?
No. Not that I see.
So the card on top of his deck is the one of the 3 cards that he saw but did not take. One was the Duro, one was Guri, and then one was a blank. And then the next card on top would be the Utaguda Solo.
Matt's doing a peek now. Which you're not going to get overflow over Sam's 6, even if you draw a 6 and he doesn't draw. You don't get overflow, so I'm curious
I don't think this
why
is
you would peek right now.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. I think you would peek after you move your ships away.
Right, and then you could decide, do I want these cards or what? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, as he doesn't play much. So, this is a new deck. I don't know how much he's played Legend.
Right. I mean, I think it was within the last month. He's like, hey, I just started this Legend deck is pretty good, and he like played his first game with it. So he's played a few since then, but yeah, he's a very good player for how infrequently he plays. All right.
Yeah, you don't redraw here. Because the next one's a 5, and if you redraw, you put 2 Destiny 5s at the bottom.
5/5. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no point to redrawing. You're losing him no matter what.
Yeah, it's interesting that Justin chose to draw Destiny there. I would think
He'd just battle back into him. Yeah.
no resilience, huh?
Yeah, that's not ideal for Matt.
He may use Walkling to retrieve him.
Yeah, see, now he's eating a drain of... three when it was just 1 and 1 before he played that system. And he could have, use those resources, the Hera, all that stuff, to go down harder at that site. I mean, I'm sure Justin has a Gick, but like having a stack, I don't know. I don't know what Matt's game plan here is really. Adding.
Yeah, if you're Justin, it's what do you think you do if you're Justin here? You're gonna force drain
For 3.
For 3. You probably just keep on chasing him because
Oh yeah.
you just saw the spin, which is one of the cards that you were worried about him having in space.
Well, and you're not even. He has tons of crap up there. He's fine. He does keep 2 Destiny here, so he's looking like he's gonna battle. So Ellis and Hinthra, and what would draw an extra Destiny in space?
Bosk would add a Destiny to attrition.
Sure.
But with the redraw, you're not looking to draw 2.
Sure, you're right there. Yeah, so I mean, he chases in space. He's only eaten 1 on the ground, and Rose is retrieving 1, and he's doing 2 every other turn though. So it's Matt's not. They're still pretty even. Justin is at 20 hand in life. Matt is at 24.
Yeah, if you're Justin, you're definitely. What's interesting is that your board position's good. You're force draining for 3. Your opponent's force draining you for 1 and retrieving 1.
But every other turn, you're not force draining for 3. You're force draining for alternating 3 and 1, which averages to 2, and Matt's averaging to 2, 1 damage and 1 retrieve.
Right. So I guess
board position is pretty equal.
Can he ship docks Stinger and then move?
You can
Stinger
ship
over
dock with capitals. Yeah, so ship dock, put Guri onto the space cruiser, and then move Stinger over to Octo. Yeah. I mean,
except for the Falcon can follow. Same can Wedge from Jakku, so it's not. That's actually not that great.
Oh, and you can battle at Octo. Interesting, because Dagobah says no battles or force drains, right? And this says players may not force drain here.
I think you can. Does Dagobah say that? I thought Dagobah was just no force draining.
No.
Why can't you battle
right?
in space at Dagobah?
I thought it says on the system. Oh no, you're right. Neither player may force drain here.
Yeah, man.
I thought it was force drain in battle for some reason. I don't know why.
Where in the movies did they not battle outside Dagobah?
But like, even if the Falcon followed, or Wedge, I guess you'd follow with Wedge. You'd just be playing a cat and mouse game where it lands and then and if you went over with Guri, she'd disembark, and then Dark would be 6 power on the ground to light 0. So, but if they're following with one of their space, then they're weaker. Then they're either abandoning their second battleground, or they're weaker in space because they only have 1 ship here, and then you can attack into them with Hinthra. So Justin's doing exactly what we suggested, putting Guri over there, and he's gonna move. I'm imagining gonna move Stinger because there's no reason otherwise to get her off of it when she adds a Destiny while on it, and makes it immune.
I think this is a mistake.
You think so? Why?
Because Matt, he can't drain at Octo, the system. Right.
Yeah, but he's going to land it next turn.
Right. So if I'm Matt on this turn, I move my ships over to Jakku.
Yeah.
And then on Justin's next turn, when he moves Stinger down,
you double move Falcon.
Ships, you double move the Falcon. I guess then
Wedge is sitting alone.
Well, he's alone at Octo, so when Stinger goes up, you can battle
Yeah,
into
but
him.
then you lose your second battleground, so you're paying to drain. You can't rose like.
Well, so then so you lose that a turn, but you clear this
And
off. I don't
you,
know.
you you lose it for 2 turns because Falcon's in down there. You got to fly it up the next turn and then move both ships over the following turn.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if you move both ships the following turn. I think you would just move the Falcon. So it'd be a couple turns.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You lose 2 turns because you got to move the Falcon up, and then you got to move him out the next turn. So, I mean, I guess Matt's best case scenario is he has his Tantive, and he drops Tantive to Jakku, moves one ship to Octo, and the other one to meet up with Tantive. That way. But Ellison Hinthra still is just going to battle. Once Justin finds that, he's still going to Ellison Hinthra on any random schmo and battle and retrieve and do stuff. All right, so we didn't really talk about Justin's deploy phase. We noted that he did some ship docking and moving the Stinger, but he also put out Shizor and Sidon to reestablish that ground drain of 1.
Yeah, we'll see if this pays off, because that's 2 cards to force drain for a force drain of 1. It's going to be 3 turns before that pays off for Justin.
Or if he's just trying to get him down 2 turns before it's net 0, which is fine. If he doesn't think he's in a winning position. Or he does, but he not soon enough. Like that Matt can turn it around or whatever. Putting pressure on.
What did he retrieve with Rose the turn before? Was it a
Was it that Qui-Gon?
Resilience? No.
Oh, because Qui-Gon was battle on his turn and then he got drained. Yeah.
Retrieves a Jedi Resilience.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's blank 6 blank. Unless we know these other cards, but I don't know them.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he's thinking about battling. Drawing the 6 for a Destiny Nutrition with Wedge. Drawing a Battle Destiny.
I mean, Justin only has the 1 Destiny there, right?
Right. Wolf makes his Destinies -1, but otherwise, yeah. And Dengar's going to make it plus to the total. Yeah, Matt's in the tank wondering. We're down to 18 minutes for Matt, and time might be a factor. Like I mentioned last game, toward the beginning of last game. I don't know if it was before you joined or not, but time, Matt, especially with Matt's unfamiliarity with the matchup, he's taken a long time making decisions. Right now, Justin has 36 minutes to Matt's 18. So Matt's used an extra 18 minutes, and in 18 more, he will be out of time. But once again, he's thinking hard. Is the Shaw game still going on? What happened with that? Any viewers? Shaw won by 18. He was throne room versus CCT. Okay.
Yeah, we peeked in. Joe and I peeked in on like turn 3, and things were looking very good for Shaw.
Yeah, Light had the audience chamber, and
here's Ahsoka,
which will get a Destiny against Shizor, but probably will not clear them both. And then there's the Tantive, so that one ship can go to Jakku and one can follow. I don't like the Ahsoka play. I'd eat the Drain of 1 because now he can battle and retrieve 2 and get his life force higher.
Well, we know that if he uses his objective, he'll put a 6 on top of his reserve. which means he definitely clears Sizor.
Yeah. Yeah, but then Justin comes down with any random dude with sit on and battles and retrieves too, and
he's. Oh, was there another card, or is this one also a resilience?
I mean, I feel like he would have known what he was drawing there. So, well, Proxima can take a Ponda Baba into hand. Oh, Proxima's dead. Never mind. She cannot do that. That turn took a lot of deciding for Matt to just play a ship and a guy battle move.
Wondering why he deployed the Tantive.
Oh, he's not going over to... I guess he can double move Falcon, so he doesn't need to go to Octu yet, but... Joker King thinks Boba Fett Bounty Hunter next turn coming down. He'll only add one Destiny with Sidon because he's not a Bounty Hunter. But they'll be drawing 2, which are -1 each on Ahsoka.
We know the bottom card is a Ponda Baba.
Right, so who's also not a Bounty Hunter, but he can go Ponda for 1, Fett for 4, battle, retrieve, and then just forfeit the Fett for 8 and still keep the other schmoes there.
No, why would Ponda won't come down? I'm just saying, like, the bottom card of Justin's deck is a 3.
Ponda needs to come down because if you put down Fett and Ahsoka draws a Destiny and kills one of them, you're left with just a single random guy that light can overflow. So you put down Ponda Baba and Fett and Sidon, and then you only have to lose Fett for forfeit 8, and you still have Ponda and Sidon who can draw Destiny then.
Why does he have Ponda in hand? Ponda is in his...
I don't know, because I keep thinking Proxima's going to take it into hand. He'll activate all but 3 and then take it into hand. There's no Proxima. I don't know. I don't know. Ignore me.
I was trying, but...
But I was insisting.
Yeah, you were. That's interesting. I think he had...
Whoa.
It looked like that was a blind 6. That's so weird.
And you think there's another one on deck then?
No, he just used the...
Oh, the peak?
The peak. So he did that without knowing that was a 6 there.
Mm-hmm. Justin left 3 in reserve, meaning he's looking to draw 2 Destinies. Probably Fett draw 2 Destinies and accounting for the redraw. But now that he peaked with Nal Hutta, Matt knows exactly which one to redraw, or to not redraw if the best one is on the bottom. If his first 2 are. So. But yeah, he's got to drop someone else with Fett too. No? Interesting. Because now it feels like...
I think he has to have the female interrupt here.
It only adds a Destiny to power. It doesn't make her immune. Oh, but she's already going to be immune. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, she's like immune less than 7.
I think if he had the female interrupt, he would have just used it on a drain.
It just seems a little strange to do this battle.
For who? Justin?
No, sorry, for Matt to do the battle the previous turn.
Right. No, I agree. I thought that was a weird play playing Ahsoka because it just lets Justin battle back into you and retrieve. So he draws 3/3 for the Destiny after redrawing the 5. The Ponda is the last one. All right. So they're -1 each, so that's 4. So 14 to 5. He's down by 9. She covers 7. So as long as he draws at least a 2, which that is at least a 2. It is a 2 pi, in fact. And now he's going to have to peel 3 to keep her.
I would have... Oh, keeping her is seems very good.
Yeah. And then I think if you're Justin, you have to lose Sidon first. Oh no, he's gonna leave that. I guess. I mean,
He's got to
he has
peel.
the
He's
Gick,
peeling
but
3 now. He's peeling 3 now.
yeah, for sure. Once he loses a Fet. Um. And now you know where BB-8 is, so you can either take him into hand with the peak trick to start pinging more, or you can draw a Destiny with him.
How's he just not losing 3? What is he thinking about?
I don't know, because he gets the battle back. He gets rid of a guy in a Gick. And then I mean, maybe he just doesn't want Ahsoka sitting there anymore for Justin to battle back into her the next turn. But Justin's only got 4 in hand. Like,
And he's got to move these 2 ships over, or he's going to hit a drain of. Yeah, I guess he's just deciding what to lose. He's just being careful with it.
yeah, but his clock is ticking.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so he lost Rescue from reserve, Odin from hand, and Rose from hand.
Odin
And
from hand is very interesting. I feel like
now,
Odin could
if you're
do work
Justin,
still.
you have 2 force. Do you move and block this drain of 2? Do you
3?
land the stinger?
Or
It's,
2,
no,
sorry.
it's 2. There's not 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's +1 from the Falcon, but no 2 guys there. Do you land the stinger and leave that? Do you move? I think you move the 2 ships in front, and the stinger's still just sitting there. Yeah, drawing that BB-8 was pretty good for Matt, because peeling 3 is acceptable. Even if he just drew, a 4 there, like a female interrupt or something, and had to peel 6, I think he has to lose Ahsoka. Oh, he goes for the land. So then, and then maybe he'll move the space cruiser in front and just leave Dengar. Now that Tanev's out, he's not really worried about another ship. There could be a profundity, but Matt only has 2 in hand. So maybe I feel like you should move space cruiser. I guess it'd be 17 power to 8. That's kind of bad, but you have a ton of forfeit. Maybe.
Well, he could also place Walkling out of play, or no, he doesn't want to do that because he wants the 6.5 for the Battle Destiny, or 6 and.
Yeah, that would be an attrition destiny with Wedge though. If you battle in space.
No, you could activate 15, and then you could use the peak, and you could put it on top, and then put the other one below it.
Sure, that's true.
But I think you really want to draw a BB too.
6.28, Eric. Apparently you multiplied 2 pi wrong. It's we have a floating decimal problem. All right.
Justin's going to draw. He's leaving him there. That's very interesting. That was a tough turn.
Yeah, I mean, so now you can double move Falcon, which is great.
Well, the problem there is then Stinger will just move up.
Yeah, that's fine. But you block the drain at 2. You have to do that anyway. And then the Falcon moves up. You play cat and mouse, but like you can't eat that drain at 2. You double move the Falcon and you just run in space with the other 2 ships. All right, so he activated all but the BB-8. He is going to draw that for Destiny with Ahsoka. So he'll drain 2 in space, 1 on the ground, and retrieve 1 with Rose. Justin. Yeah, Matt's starting to pull ahead here. Justin not having the force to. I think he needed them. Maybe he didn't have one. And Sidon was the only one to go with him. But if that's the case, I would have battled with Sidon by himself, retrieve the 2 and just gicked it there. You're going to have to gick it here anyway. It saves you 1 from the drain, but then you're not losing Fet. I I don't know. If he had another character with Fett, so he could have just lost the Fett to the BB-8 and still had someone with Sedan to draw a Destiny and try and overpower. Matt asks if anyone can deploy to Octo, and Justin says, yeah, no, only Luke, who's, of course, out of play.
And the soon to be released Porgs in set 13.
Yeah, that's a good point. So Padme goes on the Falcon. I don't know why. Because like we said, Falcon's going to double move and land. Hopefully, I mean, Matt might not see that, but double move, land, disembark them, but then Justin will move up. Maybe you also move over Wedge. That's what you do. Of course, Ellison Hinthra could kill Tanev, but you double move Falcon over and land and move over Wedge. Of course, he'll have a Gick. If he has to burn the Gick here, though.
If he burns the Gick here,
and he doesn't have a second one, with only 2 cards in hand, probably not. So if he burns the Gick here, and you move over, double move the Falcon and move over Wedge, Ellison Hinthra can take out the Tanev, which would be annoying, but you are still at 2 battlegrounds anyway. He only has to peel 4, but you probably take a Gick. Yeah, I mean, if you have a Gick, you don't peel 4 here. So now you double move. You can do Hera Padme disembarked at the saddle. And Wedge up there, who will add a Destiny to power. Oh, he's shipdocking Hera onto the Tanev. So then he can do Padme down. Yep. Oh, but she's not a pilot. No, that doesn't work. Yeah, she's just a... I wonder if he realized that.
What is he doing? It says Padme is passenger in the Falcon.
Ship docking's unlimited, so if he realizes right now, he can just do that again and move. He'll have to pay another one and move back Hera. But yeah, I think he was thinking Padme will fly over and land, and now just realized Padme's... Yes, wait, is ship docking a regular move? He's wondering why the Falcon can't move. Ship docking is an unlimited move. Falcon can't move because it has no pilot. Matt says, oh, this Padme isn't a pilot.
It's shocking when a light side character isn't a pilot.
Right? Well, and I think the other Padme a pilot? Because he says this Padme isn't. Maybe they made a V1 in Legacy or something. So he ship stocks again. He's like, oh, going back. Hera's like just running out for coffee. If I look up Padme non-V, she is not a pilot. If I look up Legacy Padme, she was a pilot. She was the one that made them lose force for each scour. Oh, you didn't play in that era. Anyway, Legacy Padme was a pilot and added 1 to power. So that's why he said this Padme is not. So he puts Padme. Oh, I don't like that. Well, I mean, I guess he's not. Yeah, because he can't cause overflow. This forfeits for 4, and Hera will be 4 and no Destiny. He's not going to do any overflow. Whereas I think
he can just he could just retrieve himself 2 force, I guess, by battling. But
right, he just gets a free retrieval. Whereas if he had Padme and Hera there, he's power 7 and a Destiny, and then you move Wedge over, and he's power 6 and a Destiny to power, same thing, then you're doing overflow.
Yeah, but then you're leaving
Tanev alone, risking an Ellison Hinthra, which we still haven't seen lost, right?
Right.
So,
it's a little sketchy.
But even if it's Justin only has 1 card in hand. Even if it's Ellis, that's power 4 to power 5. He's not going to... I mean, he might battle, retrieve 2, and then lose 1 to the power difference, but Tanev's totally fine by himself right here. Yeah, Padme should be there. Padme should be disembarking.
He didn't take Hera out of the Falcon.
And he didn't move over Wedge, which means Stinger can just move up. I think.
Well, that's fine. No, but why didn't he left the bigger thing is that he left Hera inside.
Yeah, so now it's just going to be power 0 to power 0. Justin just gets a free retrieve, and his best play is next turn.
Hera doesn't draw.
I know. That's why I said it's power 0 to power 0, and Justin just gets a free retrieve.
He's mad.
Yeah, that's a mistake. Yeah,
Justin's very fortunate.
He's got to be happy.
He has the one card in hand.
Yeah, I mean, with the one in hand, even Ellis and Hinthra couldn't do anything against Tanev. So I think what you needed to do was move Wedge there, move both Padme and Hera, and disembark them, and then Stinger's take an overflow. And then the next turn you can move Wedge back with Tanev if he splits his ships.
That was leaving Hera out was a really bad mistake.
Yeah. But also I think not moving Padme and Wedge.
I think those are lesser mistakes.
Sure, Justin's going to get a free retrieve here, but that basically nets Justin 2. What I'm saying with overflow is on the ground this covers 4, and you would be power 7 in a destiny, so he's losing 3 plus a destiny on the ground. Or up in space he covers 7 and Wedge is 6 in a destiny, so you're losing destiny -1 in space. So he'd take off and then lose destiny -1. But that's going to be more than 2. That's a bigger...
So he has a second ship.
Okay, if he had Bosk and Ellis. But he only had one in hand. So Bosk would have been power 6 to...
Joe.
Yeah.
If you had done your plan and he has another ship, at some point he would have moved the space cruiser in front. And then you would have to either move Wedge to the Tantive.
Right.
And the space cruiser would battle into that.
Correct. So right now what would be happening is Wedge would be battling the Stinger and then moving over to join the Tanev.
Right, and then he would battle into it with the space cruiser and Bosk.
You'd move the Tanev and Wedge over to Nal Hutta. And then you'd also fly up your Falcon there. And then if he battles into you with Bosk and Dengar, you lose Tanev, keep Wedge, and then you move the Falcon to join it. And meanwhile, he loses probably both from your Wedge adding to attrition. Yes?
I don't know. I think it's sketchy.
How? You're right here. If we had what I described, you'd have a lone Tanev at Jakku, you'd have Wedge at Octo. Wedge would battle. Justin would take Destiny -1 overflow. Tanev would move to Nal Hutta, Wedge would move to join it, Falcon would fly up. If Justin battles into Wedge and Tanev, Bosk can't add anything, so he'd retrieve with Scum, but then you'd lose Tanev. He'd probably lose both ships because Wedge adding to attrition, and then you'd move Falcon to join it. Like, that's great.
Yeah, I guess the Falcon could fly to Nal Hutta, too.
Yeah. Justin Miyashiro Jegtex points out, Desai missed the free retrieval battle. He could have just battled power 0 to 0, no one gets Destiny, and just retrieve 2 for free. And he missed that.
Well, 2 wrongs just made a right, everybody.
Yeah. The not disembarking just was canceled out by the not battling.
I hope everyone enjoyed the commentary on the hypothetical play.
The mini hypotheticals of who do you move where. I still think my play was right. If you've got...
Yeah. No, I think you're right. That's what I was thinking originally.
You move Wedge. You threaten both the site and the system and force him to use the Gick on the ground or save it for the Stinger. But you're getting overflowed through. So also on Matt's last turn, he moved Obi. We neglected to mention that, and Desai apparently moved IG to counter that. He's probably going to track a 6, battle, retrieve with Scum, capture Obi, put him in the tank, retrieve 2 more.
That would be the ideal play. I think he's just going to move Obi-Wan back.
Could be. Yeah, so this turn, though, Matt got to drain 1/1/1 and retrieve 1. That's a pretty good turn for him.
So, I mean, in this turn, Matt's going to shuttle the Falcon up.
Yeah.
And then move
Move the 2
Or
ships to
may,
Nalhada.
yeah, and then
Then he'll lose. If Desai battles into him, Desai's only getting 1 destiny, and Bosk has no one to target, and Wedge
right.
does have someone to target. So
So he'll just lose Padme.
and he'll just lose Padme. Oh, and maybe not even that. In fact, he could battle right now. That's probably what he'll do. He'll battle. He'll add with Wedge. He'll cancel the destiny with Cassian, and clear out at least 2 characters. And he'll just lose Padme.
Has to power. That's interesting. I guess it makes sense.
So, Wolf is there, right? So that's -1. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh no, that's a destiny to power. Yeah. That's not.
Yeah.
Not this one.
The problem. So, if Matt goes up with the ship, Stinger will just come back down.
Yeah. Now they're playing cat and mouse the entire time. Right. That's why I said you move over both and don't give it a place to run. And you get overflow.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's talk about what how Matt's gonna respond to that. Does he move the wedge over and then the Tantive?
No, because if he moves the wedge over, the Stinger just runs to Jakku.
I think what he should have done.
All right, so it's power 20 to 8. Justin's down by 12. You got Forlom for 5 of that. You still need to cover 7, which is Thrawn and 1. Or Darrow. Do you lose 1 or do you lose Darrow? You got to cover 12.
I've always said Darrow.
I mispronounce everything. So
Well, I don't know what's right, but what you're saying sounds too much like Daryl, which doesn't seem like a Jawa name.
You know what annoys me is the picture on Darrow and Ratik being the exact same. So you can't tell when they've got someone out. You can't tell which one it is. The audience chamber. All right, so Thrawn, Forlom, like we said, and then does he lose 1 or does he lose Darrow? Life force is pretty low.
What are the time rules?
If you run out of time, your opponent wins by their hand and life force.
Matt's gotta speed this along.
Yeah, and I think he's gonna be thinking because that's what he does.
For those of you who I don't know how clear it is on the Twitch stream, but Matt only has 6 minutes 30 seconds left on his timer, and Justin has a cool 29 minutes. Justin may just go use the bathroom for 10 minutes and come back.
He'll have to come and pass. He'll go to the bathroom, activate 1, go to the bathroom. Like he can't use more than 5 minutes because it'll time him out. But otherwise, so Matt leaves Obi there, and he leaves the ships there.
Yeah, I think leaving Obi there is smart because there's no way IG-88 is going to capture Obi. He would need to have 2 6s on top.
Oh, because the redraw, sure.
And if he battles, Obi will hit, and then we'll draw Destiny and cause overflow. So Justin would have to have a Gick.
Drew is saying in the chat, apparently MHT has extra time because it's an open game. What's the time on open games versus the league games?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think any player is going to care. But
yeah,
that is
right.
Interesting.
Right. I don't think Desai will want a rules lawyer and be like, oh, you should have like I think he'll want to play it out. But Justin Miyashiro says 60 versus 45 minutes. That's a big difference.
Is it 60 minutes for
That's
a casual game?
I don't know. Are there any casual games just starting that we can poke in at?
I thought it was 50 minutes for casual. 50%.
Yeah, 45 and 50. It's like an extra 5 minutes. No, because this casual game, they have 57 and 56 minutes right now on the clock. In this one the bottom one I just joined.
Jeez, how are you? I can't believe you spent 54 minutes on your turns.
Yeah.
Wow, Prince eyes are coming down. There is... If he loses Ray, there is no other resistance character to retrieve with Rose.
Ah, yeah. Funny. No resistance characters on table besides Rose. Apparently OCS are 50. So apparently it's 50 versus 60. So he had an extra 10 minutes, which he's already well into with only 6 minutes left on the clock. Desai moves IG over. Yeah, that is unfortunate that freeze happened and then this happened because obviously Matt would have sped up earlier if he realized his clock was going down that quick. But and they were going to play it as another league game, but then Justin said just do an open game, but I don't think he realized the time factor, or maybe he just didn't care because he knew that
Surprised Matt didn't place Walkling out of play to retrieve.
Yeah, I mean maybe he's forgotten about that. And we'll remember it at the end for diff purposes. So Justin moves over Stinger, and the reason why he didn't land it is because he's way lower on life force. He can't afford to do that cat-mouse game, moving up and down and up and down. Whereas Matt has more life force, he can afford the extra force every turn. But I do think you land it one more time, make Matt land, and then you do that free battle. Even if he disembarks him, you free battle because the forfeit covers the power difference, and you just get forfeit 2. And then the Falcon's stuck down there instead of up where it can move over. So I do think he should have landed it instead of moving it over. What it's doing over here is adding 3 more power and 4 forfeit. But I think you want to consolidate your ships anyway to Jakku so that you can drain higher. So Justin's plan over at
Ooh,
Gold Leader's a good card here.
That
Justin
is a good
card.
He
can
has
wipe.
what? But he can redraw.
Yeah. And
so Justin won't draw Destiny here.
Does he have any if unable to otherwise, guys? He does not. So yeah, Justin will not be able to draw even with wipe. Justin's plan over at the pit is capture Rose, shut off that retrieval permanently, and then Ray can't draw Battle Destiny because Sizor, which is a good plan, but I think Obi will move out to join them. JNAP asks for a life force count. Matt is at 15 with 2 in hand, and Justin is at 5 with 0 in hand. So Matt should definitely finish this out before he's got 5 minutes left on the clock. He'll finish it in the next 5 minutes, but obviously that's 5 minutes over the normal time. But again, the sort of butterfly effect of, well, Matt would have played differently if he had more time. So then how do you I think that's probably just an unfortunate side effect of having to replay a frozen game.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be frustrated if I was Justin.
Justin's just peeling force, and Matt never
so he can't walk Walkling. Yeah. So Matt wins by 15. Justin has 33 in lost, and Matt has 16 in lost. Yeah, I would be frustrated if I was Justin about the time thing, and though would realize, well, maybe Matt would have sped up quicker, but still, it does. You do wonder, and it's unfortunate the whole freeze happened to affect that.
Justin is asking Matt if he wants to play the second game right now.
Matt says he doesn't have another 2 hours right now. All right. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a similar time in the next few days, though.
I know that you're itching to get some dinner,
food, yeah.
But what stood out to you about this game?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. I think it was interesting that Matt ended up playing the system and going to space instead of just eating the drain of 1 the whole time, especially because he did eventually take this site. I think if he had just dedicated all of these resources to the site, he could have just taken those 2, drain 2, if he could get 2 resistance guys, but it didn't seem like he had many. Drain 1 and retrieve with Rose. I guess it would be 1 and 1 retrieve with Rose. He could maybe move in, that sort of thing, and just eat the 1 drain. If Justin is only at the system, he's only doing 1 damage, and Rose is retrieving that 1 damage. So if Matt could pile at the 2 sites hard enough, of course there was 2 Fets coming back, but Justin had to draw quite a bit. He got down to like 11 life force, 13 in life force maybe, one turn after he drew a bunch to try and get stuff going. And if Matt could have piled those 2 sites hard enough, retrieved the 1 system damage with Rose, and just done 1 and 1.
The thing is that he had already lost Chewie, Leia, and Han.
And yeah, he had Qui-Gon, he had Ahsoka, he had Padme, he had Cassian, he had Hera. Like
I don't know if he would have been able to hold 2 sites, especially after he retrieved the 2.
But he had to draw up to get enough stuff to just attack. I mean, the only things that went into space after space came out was Darrow Guri. Everything else had already been deployed. I mean, Bosk later, but Darrow Guri were the only ones that could have gone down to the ground besides the cards that we saw.
He deployed Forlom later on, right?
No, he deployed Forlom early for forfeit fodder. He was out before the system was out.
Well, when he deployed, I think he was only force-drained. I think Justin only force-drained a Jakku 1 time.
That's true. It didn't end up costing him, but I think it would have been a safer gameplay to try and pile those. So I thought the system coming out, in terms of what stood out on this game, I thought the system coming out was interesting because the first game it was a big liability and it seemed like it could be this game, but Matt did end up getting a lot of space. I think it's specifically because he had that wedge, and last game he didn't. He only had Tanev. Let's see. The audience chamber, another thing that stands out is, the Jabba Proxima Zam or whatever. Was that last game? I don't know. But that first battle where Lightside cleared everybody and lost nothing, and it was still Chewie, Solo, Leia there, and then Dark came back with 5 Battle Destinies, capturing Chewie, clearing them all in 4 overflow, and then holding the audience chamber the rest of the game. That was obviously huge. Justin's hand was just stacked with dudes because he came down, took the audience chamber. Matt went to the pit with 2 guys. He came down then with Mara, Aura, and the pit guy, whatever his name is.
That smuggler guy.
Velkin Traziri or whatever. I don't know. And then cleared that out the next turn. So Justin's hand was just stacked with dudes there. I think those were some interesting turns. But after that, then once Matt established here and they were just kind of trading not a lot of damage, it became an interesting question of, do you go to space? Do you try and take the site? And seems like it worked out.
It seemed like
Matt.
a lot was going right for Justin between getting that battle with 5 Destiny and causing overflow. I think he probably would have liked a little bit more overflow, and I think he would have liked it if the initial battle there wasn't the Odin Nesser combo to cancel Greedo, and
I think.
But getting like something special planned out very early, having that counter beat and then that subsequent attack of the pit, things were going great. It just like he had so many cards on table and he had a large enough loss pile by taking that 4 overflow in the very beginning that he didn't seem to have enough force to really just like put Matt away. Yeah. And then Matt was able to slowly grind things out very
well, because Court was doing no damage, and that was the big problem here is with that projection of a Skywalker.
Oh yeah, on turn 1, that was huge.
Court was just doing 1-1-1, and even when Rose wasn't doing, Matt could afford to take 1-1-1 for quite a while and establish. And I think Legend is we've talked about this being 50-50, and after seeing these 2 games, I think Legend might be advantaged more than 50-50 in this because they just do more damage. If they're running that projection, even if they can't take because there's a chance they take the audience chamber, but even if they can't, just stacking the pit or Maz's site and just I think they just do more damage. Like Matt never found BB-8, and he still was out damaging. And yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I think it seems that Legend is favor that they. I mean, it helps that they put like 6 cards on table,
right.
and then they're activating enough, and their objectives doing insane things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the flip side of that is
but
just
but
good.
like yeah, the +1 drain, Rose, and BB-8 that just kind of puts them over the top, and Court has to put a credible threat in space, and that's just a lot of forces used and cards on table.
Right, right.
Um,
Yeah,
so Court's just like in a huge hole, and it's like pretty even, but it's just
you're putting at
playing from
least
these
5
sides.
cards in space. Like whether it's Ellison Hinthra and 2 smugglers in another ship, and like you're putting at least 5 cards in space. That's 5 lost cards to lock down a drain of 1. And yeah, second battleground for scum retrieval, and yeah, free drains, but like you lost 5 cards to do that. You're right. It is a decent hole.
All right, well,
Cool.
it's late.
Yeah. I'm
Thank
gonna
you
get
for
food.
streaming, Joe.
Thanks for commentating with me. Thanks everyone for watching.